Yeah, okay. This is something that has been long awaited, and it's something that I want to share with you. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do it in a little bit different ways than we have done it before, because Season 7 of My Hero Academia, and I know a lot of you have been listening to my stuff where I've found my stuff from My Hero, and I know I post a lot of other videos and animes and movies and all this other stuff on the channel just because I like doing and kind of keeping track of what I have watched. Nonetheless, I really am satisfied with the end of My Hero Academia, with how they ended up finalizing it, even though there's still Season 8 to come next year, 2025, sometime most likely in the spring or summer is my prediction. I do like, however, how they finish this season where it's just like Midoriya is able to fight his villain and All Might is able to fight his villain. It's not like Midoriya has to fight against One for All. He just gets to fight against Shigaraki, and then Shigaraki just has to fight against Deku. He doesn't have to have All for One come in and save him like he's done beforehand, which I thought this was absolutely incredible, because it's being able to see that these both the heroes and both the villains are going to be getting their arc, their final analyses done and completed, and they're going to be able to fulfill the things that they have come out to fulfill. So it's like, even though you don't have quirks, and it goes full circle, and this is the part that I absolutely truly adore and love from the series, is even in the beginning, All Might, he didn't have powers, and he's like, I still want to fight even though I don't have powers. And then even when he is quirkless, he still ends up going out and fighting just exactly like Deku did, because that's exactly what Deku did when he was fighting the slime monster at the beginning of Season 1, where he went out, he didn't have powers, but he was crying. He was like, I'm going to fight this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen, regardless of if I'm going to like have this fear or whatever it may be. And in an episode a while ago too, there was the guy that had like the chain bolts. I don't remember him at all, but it was like the Jackie, like the I feel like it was like a power jack. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Of course you know what I'm talking about. But like, he saved the people, even though he turned in his hero suit, and he was still crying as well too, because there's this thing that we have to do even when we are afraid, even when the enemy may seem like he's undefeatable. He's never undefeatable. And All Might, he even said that in the most recent episode as well too. He's like, you think that I went into these battles expecting to lose? He's like, that thought never once crossed my mind. I've always gone into these battles against you knowing that I would win, and that's what we always have to do. We always have to go into these situations knowing in our heart of hearts that we are going to win this said battle. It's what Deku does, it's what All Might does, it's what I hope you're doing, it's what I'm doing, it's what I want everybody else to do, is you have to have this inherent knowing. And I've come to realize this, and this is what I've somewhat picked up out of actually over the past couple of months, is like, you have a knowing. There's a belief system, and then there's a, I might know this, I might not know this, but like, once you do know that you can do this, like, you very well do know that you can watch a full episode of anime. You very well do know that you can accomplish sitting down and watching 20 minutes of an anime. So like, if you know that you can do that, then you also know that you can go outside and you can walk for 10 minutes. You also know that you can read a book for 10 minutes, or you can read a manga for 20 minutes, or you can read something, you can do something, because you know that you can do it. And this is things that I myself have struggled with, why I'm also fighting against my own battles and my own demons and my own villains in a sense, but I'm still like going out there, even if I don't have quirks, even if I don't have all the knowledge, even if I don't have all the expertise, I'm still going to go out there and show up in the ways that I can show up, because you are perfect the way that you are. You're going to learn, and you're going to evolve, and you're going to adjust as you go out and experience new things, as you start to try different ways of maybe fighting your enemies or fighting your villains, or having different strategies, or going through these certain battles, or these whatever it may be that you're going through. You're going to be able to overcome them in a new way that you didn't originally know how to overcome them in. And this is what I love about My Hero. And I know a lot of people throw shade at My Hero, which I don't get it. Like, they say it's too mainstream, but I'm like, bro, this is the one anime that it's sick. It's like, this dude doesn't have powers, and yet he still has the courage to go out and do the things that even the people that do have powers weren't willing to do, because they were afraid of losing. This applies to our normal everyday life as well too. There's people in this world that say they want to do these things, yet they don't go do them, when there's other people that are less fortunate than them that are achieving the thing that they want to achieve. A lot of people just want to sit by and watch and observe, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, because you do need to sit back, watch, and observe. But after you've sat back, watched, and observed, then you do have to go in, and you do have to step forward. You do need to chase after those things to defeat the enemies or the villains that are standing in your way, even if you have a catastrophe of everybody else. And this is also something that I'm working on personally, and that I just want to share with you, is working with other people and letting and having the trust and the faith that the people that are also on the battlefields, when you get split up and separated, that they are going to be able to fulfill their duty, that they have the skills and the requisite information to be able to accomplish the things that they themselves need to accomplish, so that you can then defeat the battle and the enemy that stands in your way. Like when Mr. Gentleman not Mr. Gentleman, the guy with the trampoline quirk, when he came back, Deku was like, is that really him? He didn't know, but like he came back. And it's just like, this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand about people in general is people aren't inherently bad. They just were put in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's still that little child that's inside of all of us that's screaming, that's calling out, that's like wanting help, even if it's like very submerged under all these other like emotions and feelings. And it's why I highly recommend like either sending me a DM on Instagram and I can help you out with coaching to help you have a more clear mindset around these types of things and look at the world in a different way, because I like to use different like analogies from like animes or TV shows or movies or whatever it may be that will fully help you relate the things to your life in a more beneficial way. And I'm just doing that now. It is going to be paid. The first one can just be like a free consultation or something like that, but it's just something that I want to do. And obviously if you don't have the means to support yourself in those ways, then obviously don't send me a DM or leave a comment or anything along those lines. But I just want to toss that out to anybody that is wanting to have a little bit of like extra assistance and guidance around being able to have correlations between like animes and characters and movies and shows and mangas and whatever it may be that you're related to, because what we watch it for a reason, because it resonates with us in some way, shape, or form. So with that being said, there are people out there that are willing to help. There are people that are out there that do have responsibilities, that can take on other burdens for yourself, and you don't have to do it on your own. And that's why what I was saying just a brief second ago is like the whole battlefield was completely destroyed. None of them were around. Like they were all beaten, battered, and bruised, yet they did end up beating them. And that's why when Uraraka and Himiko ended up coming together, and she's like, yeah, I wish I would have seen this sooner, but it's like we also can't see things sooner. We always only ever see them in the time that we need to see them. So why when I meditate, sometimes certain images or things will come to mind on a certain day, and I'm like, oh, I wish this would have came quicker, but it's like it has to come in the exact time that it needs to come in. So like everybody does have that inner child that can either be screaming out, that can be asking for help, that can be trying to do good, yet there was other circumstances, like maybe All For One came in and started to manipulate it and like tell you that these are the things you need to do to be able to be happy. And being able to learn how certain people may manipulate you into feeling certain ways can really enhance your self-awareness of yourself, so that then you don't continually have the same thing happen to you over and over and over and over and over again. Because until you're able to recognize a pattern, or you're able to become aware of what somebody else is doing, and sometimes this is even yourself as well too, you're never going to be able to move past it, because awareness is the first step to solving any sort of problem that you have. So that's why when you're aware that yes, you are a hero, even if you are quirkless, you can still charge face front into the battle, because you know that in your heart, like it's the right thing to do. You know that even if you don't have powers, you can still be a hero, you can still help out, because everybody has a unique gift within themselves. Some people are just more driven than others, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their own unique drive and ambitions and burdens and struggles and demons and villains that they have to go up against, and sometimes they're all inclusive and they steal from other people, and then you just have the all for one quirk, and then it's just like you have to come in and you have to beat up in the ways that you can. So it's a matter of about finding the things that you yourself need, because even if you do have all for one or one for all, like you do have multiple quirks within you, it's just a matter of getting creative and using those quirks in the new ways that are going to benefit you in the most beneficial way, because you do have a quirk. You are quirky. See what I did there? It's fascinating to see how this whole process can unfold if you're willing and open to be receptive of new experiences, of new ways of battling, of using technology in ways that you hadn't originally used it in beforehand. Because by doing that, you can create and defeat the enemies and help other people in the same process in the ways that you need to, because there's so many opportunities, there's so many villains out there, there's so many heroes out there too. It's just about finding the right people and figuring out what that little inner child is looking for and needing to hear, because if you can get through to that inner child, you're going to be able to save more people than you ever would have imagined. Cool. I like keeping these short. I can always go on longer if we need to in some regards. Like the last video I did was 24 minutes, but we'll keep this one short for right now. And just to let you know that each and every person is fighting their own unique and individual battle against their own unique individual villain. And if that is your villain may be different from my villain, and my villain is different from your villain, but we do all have our own villains. All Might's villain was one for all. Deku's villain, Shigaraki, like I said. Twice's villain, or Himiko's villain, Uraraka's villain was Himiko, even though she wasn't really. Dabi's, let's actually do Todoroki's villain was Dabi, and they aren't even really villains. They're just other aspects of our own internal psyche that manifested in a different way that was like, this is what would happen if I would have gone down this other path of like not being able to have this common sense, if I would have been raised in a different way than I was raised in currently, if I would have gotten picked up by this one person versus this one person. So it's just like everybody is assembled and everybody is presented to that said person in the specific way that they need to be presented to them in, and then being able to realize that that is how that person is being perceived and or acting, and how you could have gone down that said path if you were them. Then you can look at it from a different perspective and be like, okay, they just had different experiences than I had, yet they are still me. So if like maybe I can listen to them or hear them out, or I can figure out why they're doing all these bad, evil things, because inherently everything is neutral, and it's better to have a positive and like a more enlightenful experience than you would have had prior. That's just my 2 cents. Nobody ever does things bad or malicious because what they believe, they truly do believe and know that what they are doing is the right reason, even if, and this isn't a judgment call on any of those people, or saying that one way is better than the other. It's just a matter of realizing that we as individuals and people, we always do things that are benefiting us, that we believe are for the right reasons, even if societally they aren't. For some people like Shigaraki and the League of Villains, they believe that they are the heroes. Like if you think about it, they very well could be. Like the heroes, they very well could be the villains to the villains. It's a weird dynamic, but it's just a matter of like the perspective that we end up taking to look at the world in. Because if you're able to have a clear perspective, if you're able to clear your mind and look at things in a different way than you would have originally, you're going to start to see things a bit different. And I noticed this, and this is a little bit tied off from My Hero, but it kind of relates to the last video that I did. Because in The Resident Alien, there's a part where Harry was talking about like how the monkeys in The Wizard of Oz were the good people, and she's like, no, that's the villains. And it's just like, well, not from their perspective. From their perspective, they were doing the right thing. Just how Shigaraki, he believes he's doing the right thing. Todoroki, Himiko, she thought she was doing the right thing. Dabi thought he was doing the right thing. All for One thought he was doing the right thing. All Might. So like all the villains, they believe that they are doing the correct thing, but the heroes collectively, they don't believe that that is the case, because they are trying to hurt people. Whenever you're trying to hurt people, obviously that isn't the right thing to do. I'm just trying to say that like those people do believe that that is the right thing that they are doing. So you can't really get upset at them. It's more about understanding them from where they come from. And you kind of notice that in the season as well too, where the heroes were trying to understand the villains of what their motives were for the reasons why they were doing it. Because even Gentle Criminal that I was talking about just a brief moment ago, and that was his name. It always comes back when it needs to. That's what I'm talking about. You always receive the things when you need to receive them, even if it doesn't seem like it's the time for you to receive them, but you always do receive them in the ways that you need to be able to receive them. So when General Criminal, he ended up like coming back and like sitting and like not leaving the prison. When he left the prison, it's just like, what do you want to do? And he's like, I just want to see I can't remember her name, but the little coding girl. He just wanted to see her again. He knew that he took the wrong path. He just felt like that was the thing that he needed to do, because when he was a hero and he tried to save somebody, it ended up going poorly for him. So he's like, oh, okay, well, now I guess I'm a villain. And this is what happens with a lot of people, is maybe there's one thing in our life that goes like south, and it's like, oh, okay, well, now I'm a bad person. But it's just like, that's not what it is. It's a matter of reframing it into a more positive way, which was what I was talking about earlier with the coaching, is like, you can't always do this on your own. I wasn't able to do this on my own. Now that I'm more aware of it, I'm able to do it on my own. I'm able to see the thought patterns and things that I have with other clients and other individuals that I have worked with, other friends of mine, where I'm able to change their mindset. I'm able to change the way that they frame the world, so that if, say, one bad thing happens to them, which there's no such thing as bad, there's no such thing as good, because everything is meaningless, and you get to create your own meaning, even though like it is better to have a positive outlook and a positive perspective on these types of things in this world. It's still a matter of you being able to identify what those things are, and having somebody such as myself come in and help you out to identify where your shortcomings are, because you are being told the same thing over and 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 over again, and being able to have that pattern break, or that pattern be interrupted, can free you up to new experiences, new ways of thinking, new ways of viewing the world, so that then, instead of you being the villain that somebody has deemed you to be, you can start to become the hero that you know you've always been. And to be able to be the hero that you've always been, you need to reframe your reality, your existence, your true essence, your true being, your past experiences in a more positive way, because everything is here to benefit you. Because us as humans, same thing as what you see in My Hero, we're always moving in a direction that is going to be benefiting us. It's just how the world works. It's just the way that things are. You're always going to be moving forward in a direction that is benefiting you, because us as humans, we run away from pain. We run towards pleasure. So if one thing seems like it's going to be pleasurable, And yet, it's sometimes our mechanisms in our brain, our computer system, our programming is kind of messed up. So we need to reprogram it so that it can be having a more positive effect, so that it can direct us towards the direction that we need to go. Because sometimes people aren't going to necessarily know what that bad programming is, and it's why I do what I do, and it's why I hope you're doing what you're doing. Because like even listening to these videos that I do, sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't. They always do make sense in the ways that they need to. So like, that's what I'm going to say, is you're doing exactly great what you need to be doing. You can start to understand people from a different perspective. Always look for the good in people, because everybody has good in them. And the more you start to do that, the more you're going to be able to defeat those other villains that stand in your way, even though it's always just within your own mind. I can't remember the exact quote or who said it, but it's like the only one who's standing in your way is you. And there are no plateaus. There's only something from Bruce Lee. There's no plateaus. You must not stay there. You must push through them. It's why, like, when I'm going on hikes or walks or mountains or anything like that, I'm just pushing myself. I'm pushing myself, and I'm pushing myself to be able to make sure that it happens, because I know that I can't make it to the top. And if I know I can do it, I know you can do it as well too. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed season 7 of My Hero Academia. I know I did. It's probably one of the better seasons. Season, I think 5 or 6 was a bit slow. It wasn't great, but I get that they had to build up to this, and then season 8 is going to be the last one, which I'm hoping, and if any of you watched Attack on Titan, you know what I'm going to say right here. I hope that they don't do like, oh, part 1, this is the final season, here's part 1, okay, now here's part 2, okay, well, here's part 3, and then it's like it's 3 years to finish the final season. I don't see My Hero doing that. I just don't anticipate that, and if it does, then, well, that's a bummer. Because it's just like, it's 24 episodes for the last episode, and then they have a movie, and then I'm like, are they going to do more stuff, or are they just going to like finish it and finalize it? It's nice. It's different. I like it. It's pretty neat. And I mean, we already know how it's going to end, or do we? What if it ends differently? I mean, there's manga readers out there, but nonetheless, you guys get the point. And I could keep rambling on or speaking about this, but I think this is the point where we can end up calling it and wrapping it up. I'm going to go take a walk, and I hope you guys go do the same. So I'll chat with you guys in the next video. If you made it to the end and you haven't already subscribe to the channel. And like I said, you can send me a DM or leave a comment on here, or send me an email, and we can do some coaching / consulting to help you have a more positive, beneficial life as well too, so that then you can defeat all of your enemies by knowing that you will never lose, because once you have the right way of thinking, everything works out in your favor. So appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next one.